Hey folks, welcome to eCommerce 360. Today we have Edward Gok with us, who is a senior partnership marketing manager at Octane AI. Octane AI is an all-in-one product quiz and zero-party data platform, which is the number one way for Shopify brands to increase revenue through personalization. Hey Edward, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Super excited to talk about e-commerce, the future, and where personalization kind of falls into that.
Amazing. So before we jump into the topic of the day, which is e-commerce personalization to increase revenue, let us a bit into yourself. What are you? How did you get into Octane AI? What we were doing earlier? Give us a bit
Mhm.
about yourself.
Sure. So I've been in e-commerce for the better part of a decade, mostly on the software side of things. I started at an apparel personalization company back in 2011. I've worked at different agencies working with Shopify stores. And in 2017, I was lucky enough to join Carthook, a e-commerce checkout platform, uh, that as their marketing lead and establish them within the market, work with partners across the board, and really try to help merchants increase their revenue through channels that weren't always available to them. So back about a year ago, I was able to join Octane AI to focus on their demand gen efforts to increase the number of people using our product recommendation quiz and now our conversational pop-up products.
Amazing, fascinating journey. So let's talk a bit about e-commerce personalization. Now we know there are a lot of facts about how marketers see an average increase of 20% in sales when using personalized experience, and there's going to be 44% of increase in repeat buyers with personalized sales. But what is e-commerce personalization actually mean? What is it? What does it refer to?
What it refers to is the ability to take information that customers want to give you to personalize the journey throughout. So, the best example of that in e commerce is asking a quick question when a shopper first comes to your site. And if it's a skincare company, it might be asking like, "Hey, what skincare needs are you looking to solve? Are you looking to are you looking for a skin routine, a hair routine, a body routine, or if you're a food and bev company, a flavor?" So if you're a protein company and you want to know what flavors your customer is interested in, you can ask that as a question right at welcome, and then throughout the journey now through email, through SMS, through on-site product recommendations, you can show your customer specifically that product that they're interested in. And yeah, by doing that, by offering products that are customized to their needs and wants, you see a much bigger increase in terms of conversion rate, in terms of revenue. And really, it's the we think that this is such a future thing because it establishes zero party data, or the ability to get data from your customers that they want to share because they want a product that's recommended specifically for them. And it ends that reliance on pixel tracking, on third party data through ad platforms and things like that. So you start to build a better relationship with your customers, you learn more about them, and then you also learn more of the market as a whole. So companies are starting to do product research through personalization because they will start to see how many customers are looking for a specific product that if they have it, great, they can recommend it. But if they don't have it, they can start development on that. So.
Amazing. So, like you just mentioned, right? There is an e-commerce store mushrooming almost every single day, every single
Mhm.
hour, every single minute, and it has become quite clear for e-commerce marketers that personalization is the only way that they can stand out from the crowd. But
Mhm.
uh, where does it start, really? I mean, where do you start personalizing your customers or visitors journey? Where
Mhm.
do you start?
I think you could start at that first visit to your store. So obviously, if you're looking to build traffic to your store, if you're a new brand looking to establish that customer base, that top of funnel is super important. And what that does is it allows you to get a quick insight into what people are interested in your brand and what brings them to your site. And it could be word of mouth, it could be social media, it could be very like very broad ad buys, whether it's display ads, it's social media ads, Google search ads, things like that. But once they get to your site, that's where you can start to personalize the experience. So by offering something like a conversational pop-up to people who come to your site for the first time, you then establish a rapport with that customer. The same way as if you were to walk into a brick and mortar store, a salesperson comes up to you and says, "Hey, how can I help you?"
Yeah.
Why isn't every e-commerce store doing the same thing?
Mhm.
Um, the outdated method of bringing people to the store, showing them your most popular products or your flagship products, but never customizing it to their specific needs, leads a lot of customers to become overwhelmed, and they'll bounce. So what is being solved through personalization at that first touch is recommending a more specific product to that customer based off of information that they're willing to share, typically in exchange for a small discount. But because they have their needs being met with a recommendation, they're much more likely to come back. And as you continue to nurture that relationship with that customer, you can continue to offer them more specific products that will help them uh, with whatever needs that they have. So, a great example is Doe Lashes. They're a magnetic lash company. They're more of a beauty brand now, but when they first started, their focus were on lashes. Uh, Based off of their market research, everyone they talked to, they thought that the majority of people shopping their brand would be familiar with magnetic lashes. They instituted a quiz, and one of the questions in that quiz was, how many times a year do you use magnetic lashes? Oh, do you use them for only special events? Do you use them consistently? Or have you never used them at all? And the vast majority of their shoppers had never used them. So that was like a light bulb moment for them. And what they learned was that, oh, all of our email and SMS outreach moving forward is really an opportunity to educate customers on, the benefits, how to do it, different styles, different materials. And by doing that, they increased the number of return visitors because they now were empowered and educated to start making decisions and start being more proactive with their shopping experience. So that personalization right at the top to learn more about your customer base and to offer something to their specific needs has lasting impact all the way through your your relationship with that customer. So yeah, it's really going and getting that first bit of information right at the start, that is going to make the entire experience for that shopper and all of your shoppers that much better.
Very interesting, and it's a great analogy when you say that it should be right at the beginning, because that's how it happens in any brick and mortar store, right? Right when you foray in, they welcome you, and then they take you to your their best sellers or hot sellers, and that's how it should be for online stores. So you mentioned that it should be at the very beginning, but having initiated that sort of personalization at the beginning of their journey, what are the various points in a customer journey where e-commerce marketers can inject personalization?
Mhm. Yeah, so I think the biggest opportunity and the one that we see the most is through email marketing. Every bit of information that you capture about your customer should be synced to your email provider, whether it's Klaviyo, it's Omnisend, it's MailChimp. All those informations are now pieces of information that could be attached to a contact. So what that means is that as you build emails moving forward, you could take that data and customize the messaging specifically to that audience, that segmentation. Um, that also applies to SMS. So same Klaviyo, it's attentive or PostScript. You could send that zero party data directly into that platform and only send messages on specific product types, on specific flavors, specific for different skin types. All of that information that you're gaining from your customers can be used to segment all of your marketing outreach, straight even all the way down to your paid ad strategy, because you could start to create audiences based off of these custom events, these answers. um, you can have different ad groups specific to those answers, and then you only show them information that's important to them, and those ads are even going to convert better. So the different points that on that buyer journey that can be personalized are kind of endless. In the future, though, why not, personalize the entire store based off of who's been there and what products they've looked at? But for right now, I think the easiest thing to implement for brands to start their personalization journey is really through email and SMS. I think those are the best performing channels at the moment for reaching your customers, whether it's post purchase with additional product recommendations, if you want to get a survey or anything like that, or if they didn't purchase, to bring them back in through through retargeting or things like that. So I think, yeah, definitely every point of the buyer's journey can be personalized, but every brand, no matter size, age, how long they've been in the market, should definitely be personalizing their email and SMS.
When you say that, every brand, every brand of every size with every customer sort of segment that they have, they should personalize the journey. How difficult or easy is it for brands to personalize, depending on the SKUs that they have, or depending on the audience size, right?
Mhm.
How much can they actually personalize to that particular one audience, or is it, you just bucket them into different groups,
Mhm.
and then you start personalizing, and then probably, with the help of data, you kind of refine that personalization. Is that how you proceed? So how do e-commerce marketers get the maximum amount of personalization?
So, yeah, you kind of touched on it there. You can create a single individual bucket based off of, has engaged with the store, hasn't. You can do something as basic as that single question at welcome or exit. That gives you one data point, and then depending upon how many answers are available in that question, you have anywhere from 2 to say 5 or 6 different segmentations, all the way to, if you have a full quiz. Think of if you were to go to a store and it asks, what type of product are you interested in? And 6 or 7 questions. Every question has a series of answers, and depending upon what series of answers that you select, recommends a specific product. All of those answers can then be ported back in and personalized. So you can have 20 data points, and you can, if you really wanted to get granular and you had you know, a great email marketing team that can really take that information and build on it, you can have a specific email sent out based off of every data point. I think that's unrealistic for most brands. I think, those really large brands with established teams can do that. But I think the majority of brands is getting that first data point. You can capture that through a conversational pop-up with Octane AI in 20 to 30 minutes. It's a really straightforward build, but that's the start of the zero-party data journey. That first data point is what starts to establish personalization. So start there. Get one data point. Get one bit of information from as many of your shoppers as possible. And we're seeing things like 30 to 40% of visitors that see this pop-up engage with it. So that's already a really good start, that starting from zero to that. So that's where I definitely start there. Don't overextend yourself. Yes, all of those different data points are very useful, but if you're not able to execute on all that data, you start to drown in it. So start small, get a first data point, and start to build that personalization marketing, and then expand on it. And as you start to see what bits of personalization make a difference in customers coming back to your store, then you can start to focus in on those points and you know clarify that a little bit more. So I think that's the best way of going about it for brands to really get started. And
That's great.
Yeah.
So I had a quick question about so since you mentioned zero party data, I was just I was just thinking about the latest Facebook update or the latest iOS update. How has that impacted the brands that you're working with? Are you seeing a significant chunk of brands moving towards collecting the zero party data, because the other sort of data is kind of unavailable to them right now, or it's probably accessible but it's of no use right now? How do you see brands moving towards the zero party data platform current in the current situation?
Sure. So current situation with iOS 15 and even starting back with iOS 14.5, uh, as people had the opportunity to opt out of tracking through apps, they did. 96% of iOS users told their phone that they no longer wanted to be tracked. And that completely changed the way that brands were acquiring customers, specifically through paid ads. I know myself as a marketer, one that has focused in paid ads for so long, you know, tracking your visitors through a pixel and then retargeting them that was a key channel.
Mhm.
And as that started to disappear, audiences using interest-based targeting, lookalikes, things like that became a lot less valuable. They weren't as accurate as they used to be, and they're spending a lot more to get the same results. So as brands are starting to see their paid ad costs go up and their ROI go down, they're looking for more ways to get information about customers and interact with them in different channels. And that's where zero party data is coming in. And we're starting to see brands probably in the second half of 2021, and definitely now as they start to plan for 2022, that data is so much more important to them because they see the diminishing returns on paid. So they're really looking for ways to grow their email marketing, grow their SMS marketing, and do a better job of building relationships with their customers that they didn't prioritize in the past, because it's a lot easier to acquire new customers than it
Yeah.
is to work on building a relationship with your current customers and have them come back. So with zero party data, they now have, you know, better segmentation, better insight into their customer needs, and they are starting to customize their outreach specifically to that. And that's leading to more return customers. It's leading to less returns in general because they're recommending a product that is hitting their needs. So the business is seeing a big benefit, and now they're looking for more ways to capture that information and then more ways to use it throughout marketing. And this is where we were talking a couple minutes ago, is you can have a million data points and segment on them. And larger brands, as they do that, you'll start to see emails in your inbox that only talk about maybe a handful of products, but those products are a direct hit for you. But yeah, everyone is growing towards that. And I think that after, specifically now that we're post Black Friday, a lot of brands saw that their standard operating procedures, their strategies from the past aren't working the same way that they used to. And this is the time to make a change and really start to build those relationships internally through the store and all through your own marketing channels versus paying ad platforms to do it for you.
That was, I think, a huge change in the way marketers started to view the zero party data versus third party, I think. And I think as a wrap up, this is the best time to talk about the future of personalization, because the last 2 years have changed the game for marketers as far as personalization is
Mhm.
concerned. Now, it's different now, as you mentioned earlier. It's about knowing your customers, not just getting their email IDs or just
Mhm.
getting their interest from so other platforms. It's about you going out and getting deep into the dirty waters and understanding your customers. So what do you think is the future of personalization?
I think the future of personalization gets more and more into the actual e-commerce platform, into your Shopify store, and even beyond e-commerce to software, but to kind of to dive into that a little bit more. So right now you can personalize things like your email marketing, your SMS. I've talked about that enough. But why not be able to customize your homepage specifically to who's visiting the site? That's the future. Is everyone that comes to your store should, if they've interacted with you in the past, should only see a version of that store that makes sense to them.
Mhm.
And this is really big for apparel brands, for food and bev, anything that has a lot of segmentation. I mean, if I go to like LL Bean's website, I've been there dozens of times. It should know by now that I am looking for, men's clothing.
Mhm.
Just as an example, I can navigate to women's clothing if I'm buying a gift for my wife or, for my mom or anything like that. But the products on the homepage should be reflective of all the products I've looked at in the past and the information they have about me from past purchases. I think that's the future, is giving that experience to every shopper once they engage with you the first time. Start to capture that little bits of information and make recommendations and make site changes to fit their needs. Make that shopping journey as simple and straightforward as possible. As few like just like every software company knows, every marketer knows, you want to allow people to get to your end goal with as few clicks as possible. The same should be for shopping. And the future of personalization isn't e-commerce specific. If you were to go to octaneai.com right now, our homepage is a quiz because we want to find out what stores need. So
Mhm.
we're asking a couple questions, and from that point on, anything that we communicate to a store owner that took our quiz is going to be specific to their needs, whether they're, if they're on Shopify, what industry they're in, how many orders they do a month. All of that is taken into consideration when making a recommendation. So I think the future of personalization is the entire shopping experience, from e-commerce to software to, services, things like that. All of that information should be used to make the journey for every customer easier. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish right now.
Awesome. So, future where there are fewer clicks. That's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, Edward, for coming on the show and letting us a bit into e-commerce personalization. I know we have barely touched the surface, but still, it's a lot for especially to get started on e-commerce personalization. So this was great. Thank you so much for coming on our show and helping our audience understand, at least get an initiation into e-commerce personalization. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone listening, if you want to learn more about zero party data, all the things I've been talking about, octaneai.com/playbook has a full 2021 playbook that goes into this more in depth, different guides, different thoughts from leaders across the e-commerce platform. And yeah, always feel free to reach out to me on any social media platform you can find me.